In this video, we're going to show you how to use a probe with the MASSO Touch3 controller on our Accu-Pro VMC Mill. So what I have here is this is a Drutronics probe, and it's connected to our probe wire coming out of the back of our controller. The probe wire is connected to the number 24 input inside our controller. So first, what I'm using is a 3/8 M mill holder. As long as you have contact and enough contact to keep it snug in here, you don't need to reef down your set screw. So what I'm going to do is thread on my end mill holder first, and then I'm just going to put the shaft up in there, and right there's that's snug. If I had to go tighter, I would tighten the set screw just a hair. You don't want to damage the shaft on your probe. The other option, well, actually, I'll leave it with some space, mostly so if I do something wrong, I have a little bit of time before it bottoms out on the end mill holder. Okay, so first thing we do is we go to the F1 screen, and it should be input number 24. So if I come down here, 23, it's got tool setter from the previous video. 24 doesn't say anything. So if I double click on 24, these are my options for what I can make 24. And you'll see right here it says probe. Just click probe and select. Okay, now it should also be low, which means when I come over here and I actually activate the probe, it'll go from low to high. If this was high, I would just hit the space bar and it changes it. Okay, so that just changed from low, and I actually want it low, so I'm just going to hit it again. So it should be low, and that's how you change from low to high. Okay, the next one we have is on the machine setting is our touch probe. I'm going to double click that twice. And what it's going to ask is which tool number am I using for my tool probe or for my touch probe, and I'm going to say 24. So we keep the input and the tool number the same. I rarely get up to 24 tools on this machine, so 24 is safe. Then just hit save. And then if I go to my tools, okay, I'm going to come down here to 24. Double click it, and I'm just going to type in touch probe. And save. Hold on. Okay, you're not putting any other information in here, tool diameter, none of that. It's just the name so that you know that it's what's being used for. Okay, back on the F1 screen. Let's get that. Okay, hold on, I take it back. F2, we'll go to the jog screen. Okay, what I have right now is a 3-inch square block. So the first thing we're going to do is just do a probe touch on the top of the block. Then we'll find a side, then we'll find a corner, and then we'll change out the part and do the inside of a bore. So what I do right now is I got it on continuous on my jog mode, and I'm just going to jog over the top of the part. So right now I've got a clearance distance. Just like with the tool setter, wherever you start from when you tell it to probe, it's going to move back to that point when it's finished. So you pick an area where it's definitely definitely has clearance. Okay, over here it's got a probe icon. I just click probe. Okay, on the settings we have probe diameter. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to punch in. This is a 1/8 inch ball, so 0.125. Okay, probing feed rate. We're going to go with the same 5 inches a minute, 5.0. Okay, and then I just click Save Settings. So those settings are saved. Okay, to probe the top of the part, actually before we probe, let's go back to the F1 screen, 24, and make sure that, yeah, we're still working. So whether I push it or touch it, it's going from low to high. So our probe is working properly. Go back to this probe setting page. To touch off of the top of the part, all I do is hit the button right there, the center dot, and it is now probing the top of the part. It should hit and then come up. Okay, so that just probed the top of my part. So once it probes the top of my part, if you exit probing and you go to the tool offset page, you'll see on 54 where it just put in 2.24055. It just input that information, okay? The next one we're gonna do is a side. We'll move it to the side I wanna probe first. So I'm gonna go X plus. Okay, so I just jogged it to a clearance area because we just probed the top of the part. If I go to MDI right now, okay, I can go G90, G00. It's a 125 ball, so we'll go Z minus 0.2, enter. And that brings my probe tip down 200 thousandths below the surface, so I'm sure to be hitting on the side of the probe. I'm not going to have a radius part of the probe hitting on a corner. So the first side I'm going to find is this side right here. So I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to go to jog again, probe, and all I'm going to do is hit this center square or the dot on the center of the side showing on the picture. And it'll start feeding over until it touches. Okay, so it just touched right there. And if I exit and I go to my tool set page, you can see where the X just changed from, it was -7 inches and some to -5.48838. Okay, if I go to jog again, jog it up, go to MDI, G90, G00, X 0.0. And it just brought, and we'll go Z 0.05. Okay, so if you look at it, that's the edge of my probe is actually at the edge of the part. Okay, right now the probe, the side of the probe tip is at the side of my block here. Using it this way, if I wanted to, I could probe at the back and at the front to see if my block is square. This is an extrusion, so it's not going to be square, whereas my fixed jaw probably would, but to show you how it's done. Okay, right now what I'm going to do is in MDI, actually we'll get out of it, I'm just going to jog it. Okay, so I'm going to go towards the back end of the part. Okay, in MDI, I'm going to go Z minus 0.2. Okay, so that has me down again. So I'm going to touch the back side of the stock, and then I'm going to come up and touch the front side of the stock and record what my X settings numbers are. If the block is square, the numbers will be the same. If it's off, you just have to calculate the difference, and that's how much you would have to shift your part or your surface in order to square it up. So right now I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go back to the jog, go into the probe, and I'm still going to hit the center button. I'm not going to hit the corner buttons. It's going to come over here, and on my tooling page, I have -5.4, I'm sorry. Yes, I have -5.4 48661. Go back to jog. And now I'm going to come to the other side of the part. Right there, in a hair. And I'm going to hit it again. Okay, and then I go back to my tooling page. And now I have minus 5.4923. So I get about a 6,000ths difference from this touch point to this touch point. So that's how I would use my probe to see if my side or my part is square. Okay, if I want my probe to find the actual edge of this part, like you would do with an edge finder, then what I'm going to do is go to jog. I'm going to go to the center of the part. My Z height is still the same. Okay. Up here on your probe page, you have X offset, Y offset, and Z offset. Because my probe is 125, what I'm going to do is put in half of that amount for my X offset. So that's 0.0625. And I'm going to hit Save Settings, and then I'm going to hit the dot again. Okay, now if I jog it up, and I exit probe and I go to MDI and I tell it to go to X 0.0 and we'll go Z 0.05. And now when I look at it, the edge of my part is dead on the center line of my probe. So by using that offset amount on the probe, you can actually find the actual cutting edge just like you do with an edge finder. So that's finding the edge, using it to indicate in or see how square you are, and it's finding the edge with an offset amount so that you can actually get the center line of your spindle on the actual edge of the part you just probed. So now we're going to probe the back corner right here. So what I want to do is jog it into position first. So I'm going to go into jog mode. I'm going to move it up. My Z is already known and this side is already known. So I'm going to go into MDI and clear right now. I'm going to go Z minus 0.2 and that's pretty close. I'm going to jog it away a little bit. Step mode. Okay, some good distance away there. Okay, I want to go a little bit more this way. Okay, I'm going to go to my probing page. Okay, the distance right here, these are all defaulted to 0.037 or 3937. That distance has to be greater than the distance from where my probe is past the edge of the part in order to make it out far enough. And the distance coming down this way has to be greater than the distance from my probe to the edge of this part, my clearance right now, plus enough to bring it down and touch. So right now I'm in about 1/4 inch and I'm off about 1/4 inch. So I'm going to change this one right here. Okay, this distance right here looks like 1/2 inch will do it, so 0.5. Okay, this one right here, to be safe, I'm going to say 0.7. So I got 0.5 and 0.7, and then I hit Save Settings. Okay, now the next one, right now I've got an offset of 0.0625 for the X, so when it touches on the X, it's going to compensate half the width of the probe tip to find the actual edge. And on the Y, I don't have anything, so I have to add my offset amount into my Y-axis also. 0.0625, and again, I have to hit Save Settings. So the settings are saved. I'm at a clearance point. So right now I'm going to do this corner right here, and the dots shows you where it's going to start, dotted line with an arrow showing the direction it's going to go to find this corner. And I'm just going to hit that dot. It's going to come in and touch, move away. It's feeding over 1/2 inch. Now it's going to feed down 700 from that point, and then it'll touch my other side. So right now it just touched both sides. If I exit probing and I go to MDI, let's go Z.05 to get 50 thousandths above the part. And now if I go X0, Y0, enter, looking down both lines, that's got the center of my probe dead on the corner of my part. And we have 5.548. Okay, if you look at G54, 5.548 minus 1.509 minus 1.509. So my Z height is top of the part, which is in there, and this corner is now in for my G54. If you want to, you can go to G54 and change this to probe corner. Or whatever you want to call it, okay? So right there, we have now found top of the part, side of the part, seeing if the side is square, and the back corner. So the next part of this video, we're going to probe the inside of a bore on a part. The probing page defaults to probing the outside of a part. If this part had a pocket in it and I wanted to probe the sides or corners of the pocket, we would just switch from outside to inside. And the way you do that is you hold the inside button down and it highlights, and then you hit Save Settings. Okay, and it changes all your dots to the inside. So right now I would be set to either find the inside of a side or find the inside corner of the pocket. Okay, to change it back. Okay, so back outside. All right, so the next one we're going to do is probing the inside of a bore on a part. So we're going to get out of this. That'll be next. Now we're going to probe the inside of the round pocket on this part. Because this part is much lower than the last part we had, your Z-axis numbers that were saved from the probing the block and your X and Y, none of that is relevant anymore. So the first thing we're going to do is jog over and touch the top of the part to establish a Z0. So I'm just going to jog over, down, that looks like it'll touch. Okay, and I'm just going to hit the center button. Okay, so right now my Z-axis, my Z0 is established. Okay, now I'm going to jog over to what looks like the center of my hole. Okay, and right now I can either jog down or I can go into MDI and tell it to go to minus 200. Step. Close enough. Okay, so I'm approximately in the middle of my hole. Now I just hit this round circle and it'll start probing the inside. Okay, so that's the center of my circle, my bore rather. So if I was going to use that as my XY0 for my part, I just found it now. and I can do other work on it. Okay, we're going to hit exit, and then I can go to MDI, Z.5. Okay, and we're at X0, Y0 right now. On your machine position, it's showing minus 7.0793, minus 3.040. Go to your tool data page, G54. You can see it's got the same numbers in there along with your Z-axis number. So all of that information is on your is locked into your machine now. So that's probing the inside. Okay. And that should be it.